For 10 years, Siri has been the punchline, the assistant that couldn't set a timer without an argument. And yesterday, at Tim Cook's final WWDC, Apple finally stood up and said, "We fixed it." But here's what they buried in the keynote, the thing they did not put on a giant glowing slide. The new Siri? It's not really Apple's brain anymore, it's Google's. Yeah, let that sink in. The most secretive, do-it-all-ourselves company on earth just quietly outsourced the heart of its AI to its biggest rival. And almost nobody's talking about it. So let's talk about it, because this one move tells you everything about where the AI race actually stands in 2026. First, the setup. Apple's been bleeding credibility on AI for 2 years. Back in 2024, they promised this magical context-aware Siri, the one that knew what was on your screen, could jump between your apps, actually get things done. Then, nothing. Delays, walkbacks. A rollout so rough, one of Apple's own reviewers literally filed it under suck. So coming into this WWDC, the pressure was nuclear. This is Tim Cook's last show before he hands the keys to John Turnus in September. He needed a win, a legacy moment. And on stage, it looked like he got one. New Siri, rebuilt from the ground up, on-screen awareness, cross-app actions, a standalone chatbot app that generates text and images and analyses your files. Demos that actually worked, asking Siri for directions to a landmark it spotted in an Instagram post. The crowd ate it up. And this is the part that matters. Pull back the curtain, and the magic trick has a second magician. The new Siri runs on Google's Gemini, sitting right alongside Apple's own foundation models. Apple, powered by Google. Now think about what that actually means. This is the company that built $1 trillion brand on privacy, on the walled garden, on we don't need anyone else. And when it came to the one technology that's going to define the next decade, they looked at their own work, looked at Gemini and went, yeah, we'll take Google's. My honest take, that's not a failure. That's the most clear-eyed thing Apple's done in years. They know they're behind. They know catching up to OpenAI and Google from scratch would take years they don't have. So they swallowed their pride, paid the toll and shipped. Pragmatism over ego. But it also exposes something huge. If Apple, with infinite money and the best hardware on the planet, can't build a frontier model on its own and has to rent one from Google, what does that say about everyone else? The model layer is consolidating into the hands of like 3 companies, and Apple just confirmed it with a check. And if you're sitting in the UK or Europe right now feeling smug, I've got bad news. Siri AI is launching in English only, and it is not coming to the EU on iOS 27 at launch. So half the people watching Apple's big redemption arc can't actually use the thing for who knows how long. Regulators, fragmentation, the usual mess. But let's be real, it stings. Apple does the splashy reveal, and a huge chunk of its most loyal customers get a coming soon maybe. And the features themselves, a lot of the visual stuff, point your camera, ask what it's looking at. Google's had that for years. Apple's revolutionary camera intelligence is, in a lot of ways, Google Lens with a nicer font. So here's the real question. Did Apple win yesterday, or did Google? Because from where I'm sitting, the headlines all say Apple's AI is back. But the story underneath says Google's Gemini is now running inside 1 billion iPhones. Google didn't just win a deal. They won distribution that money literally cannot buy. Every time a Siri AI query fires off, that's a data point, a dependency, a foothold inside Apple's kingdom. Apple gets to look caught up. Google gets to be everywhere. And in the AI race, being everywhere beats looking good every single time. So no, I don't think this was Apple's comeback. I think this was the day Apple admitted the game has a new set of rules, and the smartest thing it could do was rent a seat at the table from the company it spent a decade pretending it didn't need. That's not weakness, but it's definitely not the win the keynote sold you. So tell me in the comments, did Apple win or did Google? I read everyone. This is AI Unfiltered. I watch the news so you don't have to. If this was useful, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and I'll keep cutting through the noise for you 3 times a week. And remember, keep the faith.